Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I send peace and blessings to the last Prophet Muhammad, his family, his companions, all those who call to his way, all those who establish his sunnah to the day of judgment. And I begin with the greeting words of paradise. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in his final Arafat sermon, highlighted to his followers the need to take the message to all parts of the planet. And so he left the responsibility on the Ummah, on the nation of Islam. No other prophets were to come. No other messengers were to come until the day of judgment. And it was the duty of Muslims to take this message all over the planet. Despite the fact that Muslims in some countries were striving and giving the message, in some countries they were not, Islam has succeeded in spreading to the far reaches of the earth. Islam has never stopped, and despite political corruption that entered into the Muslim world, and attacks by crusaders and propaganda against Islam, it continues to spread. And every day we are finding out of another far-off land where the message of Islam has reached. In the chapter known as Surah As-Saf, in verse number 8, Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, has told us, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, yuriduna liyutfi'u nur Allahi bi afwahihim, wallahu mutimmu nurih, walau karihal kafirun. They intend to put out the light of Allah with their mouths, but Allah will bring His light to perfection, even though the disbelievers may despise it. In this case, Nurullah, the religion of Allah, the Quran, the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Allah has promised to bring it to perfection. And so Islam reached far off lands. And when we compare the histories of the world, when we unlock information, we find some amazing cases of contact between Muslims and people in far off and distant climates. One case is the case of the North, the people of the lands of Scandinavia. These people, in the past, were known as Vikings. And the Viking people, or Viking people, were originally people of the fjords. And the fjord is a small inlet which goes in from the sea into the land itself. But the Vikings became known and were synonymous as pirates. And this Viking ship that you see was a source of fear for many people in the world. The Vikings were able to reach far distances because of their nautical abilities and because of their great courage. If you look at their countries, you will see that the Vikings were divided into three major kingdoms. The Norwegian Vikings of Norway went to the UK, Greenland, and Canada. They were well known for Leif Erikson, who was one of the people who landed in America long before Columbus. In Denmark, the Danish Vikings, they traveled to Germany, Spain, and the Mediterranean. The Swedish Vikings from Sweden traveled to Russia, Bukhara, Samarkand, the Black Sea, Turkey, and Iraq. And it is the Swedish Vikings who are the subject of our discussion today. What we find out is that the Swedish Vikings controlled, from the 8th century, the trade routes from Russia to the Caspian Sea, and they also controlled the Black Sea. These areas were rich in slaves, in furs, and in skins. And the Vikings, because of their fighting abilities and because of their ability to go long distances in their ships and to withstand the cold and the severe climates of this region, were able to dominate the area and to literally control the trades. What is interesting to us is that in the 10th century, an Arab diplomat named Ibn Fadlan came into the region, and he actually described in his writings the Viking people. In one description, he said that they were generally tall and blonde and a reddish type of color. He said that the men had beards. There were long beards and there's short beards, and the women generally put their hair into braids. Ibn Fadlan also gives a description. He said around 920, he said after encountering the Vikings along the Volga River, he said these Vikings were the dirtiest creatures in God's kingdom. And so the Vikings give us strange descriptions. And the Vikings were a people who were, through their courage and through their lack of care for their own lives, were able to go to far distances. Here we see an Arab heater that was used in the 8th century in homes by the Vikings themselves. Now, in terms of the relationship of the Vikings to the Muslims, it appears that during the Abbasid Khilafat, especially in Baghdad, and also in the regions of Samarkand and Tashkent, in what is now southern Russia, that the Vikings were being used as bodyguards. They were used to protect the sea routes, and sometimes they were mercenaries within the troops of armies. And so because of this, and because of their pirate abilities, and they were probably also stealing wealth wherever they possibly could, today in Stockholm, Sweden, and when you get the literature from the National Archives, you find that it says that more than 1,000 silver treasures of the Viking age have been found in Swedish soils. So literally in people's farms, when they are building buildings and going down into the ground, they are excavating huge treasures of silver and gold coins from around the world. But what is astonishing about this is the fact that the majority of these coins are actually from Arab lands, Muslim coins. And so it is said that over 70,000 coins found in Scandinavia or in Sweden in particular have Arabic on them. And you'll find on the coins, you will literally find writing, Arabic writing. You'll find kalima la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam written on the coins. You will also find the names of the different khalifas or the rulers who are in the particular areas. You'll find not only silver, but you'll also find gold. And these coins are extremely interesting because in most cases, the coins are done in such a beautiful way that the kalima, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is clearly written on the coins. And generally, these coins will not have images on them. It has the Arab texts, and surprisingly enough, there are literally coins that have been found dating back to 622 AD. So, coins have been found in Sweden dating back to the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this means that coins coming back from the early Khilafat of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anh, and then from Umar's time, from Uthman's time, from Ali's time, may Allah be pleased with them, can be found high in the north amongst the Scandinavians. In the 9th and 10th century, silver dirhams were coming from Tashkent and Samarkand in Russia. And this is a coin. I actually was able to purchase a coin on a journey to Scandinavia. And it has La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah on one side. And on the other side, it actually has the name of the ruler. And we were able to decipher from this coin that it was a Sultan Abu Sarwan. This is written in the Arabic language. And it appears to be dated back to about 1,000 years ago. So this was an amazing find. I went into a coin shop and I asked for Arabic, and he sold this coin to me for only $50 US. But this is a treasure that I will treasure for the rest of my life. And it is another gem of wisdom which is available today if we would only look and search for our heritage and let other people know about the beauty of Islam in this world. If we continue on in history, we'll find a connection between the Ottoman Empire and the Swedish Vikings. The Ottomans sent diplomats to live in Sweden, and they established cordial relationship with the people of the north. And so we find that the people within Scandinavia looked upon Muslims as an advanced civilization. It was not a negative relationship because they were far in the north, and they were able to develop a cordial understanding with Muslims. This has led to people accepting Islam in Scandinavia in large numbers. And so today in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, in Finland, all throughout the Scandinavian countries, we find thousands of northern people, descendants of Vikings, coming into Islam. Now, what is surprising about this is that the majority of the people embracing Islam are women. And when I had the opportunity to go to Norway and to Sweden and to meet the Scandinavian Muslims, I was shocked to see that most of the Muslims were women. And usually Islam gets a very bad coverage concerning the position of women. But what they said was, if Muslim men are practicing Islam, and of course this is with a condition, if Muslim men practice Islam, then they are the last hope for the family in the world. So therefore, the Muslim men who cultured their families, who took care of their children, who respect their women, who practice Islam, who act like men, then they are able to marry in the north, and the communities are becoming very large and very thriving all throughout the Scandinavian region. This again is very important information, and it is part of a broadening understanding of the relationship of Muslims to people living off in far distant areas. We recognize the past and know that the Vikings at one point were a terrible people, a feared people, but now they are entering into Islam. Let us come back after a few moments and look at other areas where Islam is reaching.